choices are real. Choose life. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to Pro-Life Praise. We're back in my 2020 workspace, and I tell you, it's not necessarily fun to be in here with this today, but I didn't want to cancel the show, so I decided to go on into the work area. Trying to fix it so it looks a little neater, but that's not working, so work with me. You know, during 2020, when people were sheltering in, we had to make do and make things happen, and that's what we're doing. I've got some of my grandchildren staying here at the house during the summer holiday, and this is the quietest place I could find today. So hello, my friends, and I'm glad to be with you and glad to join you today. We have a special guest, Catherine Davis, and Catherine has been on the show with us before, and I have Catherine back with us today, and we're going to be talking about the choice of life versus the choice of death. We're going to bring some women who are in the spotlight today in the sports arena, tennis player, gymnastics person, and track runners and all of that. And these are women that have had to make particular choices due to anxiety or pregnancy and that kind of thing. But first, I'd like to bring Catherine on right now. Catherine Davis, the founder of the Restoration Project. And Catherine and I have worked together on the pro-life journey quite closely. She's an expert in so many areas. I want to bring to you now, Catherine Davis. Catherine, hi.
Hi.
What's going on in your world now? What are you doing these days, Catherine?
Well, you know, while we were all sheltering in place with COVID-19 and masking up and all of that, something happened that most people are not aware of today. In June of last year, about 300 employees of Planned Parenthood did an open letter citing their organization for being a racist organization. In July of last year, the president of the board of the flagship Margaret Sanger Center in New York came out and acknowledged that Planned Parenthood had historically caused harm to women of color. Most people don't know that. They didn't hear about it. They didn't know that Planned Parenthood was acknowledging that they are a systemically racist, white supremacist organization. And that's their words, not mine. And so what I've been doing is luncheons for women of influence around the country to begin to talk about how do we restore our communities? How do we rebuild after all of the rioting and the looting and the destruction that was happening? And I think some low-hanging fruit is stopping Planned Parenthood from targeting Black women who are their number one customer because they pursue Black women in a predatory fashion. So I am going around the country and meeting with groups and beginning discussions about how we can make a difference and have an impact in the fight for life simply by stopping the most racist, white supremacist organization in our country today. We can stop Planned Parenthood.
I absolutely agree with you. And, you know, I have signed on to some amicus briefs and all of that kind of things. You and I have both traveled to Washington before, members of Congress, our voices, our op-eds, our blogs. We spend a lot of time, our work with the National Black Pro-Life Coalition, which we are part of the co-founding group. So this work is very, very important, and it remains important. I had a thought, Catherine, and I've been following some career women. I've got this information typed in on my phone. I'm going to put 3 names out here. And Brianna McNeil, Simone Biles, Naomi Osaka. Now, these are athletes and having various situations, their careers have been impacted. I think the one that we were all really disturbed about was Brianna McNeil. You and I have talked about her case, and you were telling me you were updating me more on that. She was an athlete. She needed to take a drug test. She didn't want to take the drug test because she had had an abortion and she was still distraught and trying to heal from the abortion. She had been ill advised, in my opinion. Go ahead and get an abortion so you can keep your career. You can always have children later. Whoever was telling her that was 100% wrong. But let me let you weigh in on that particular conversation, Catherine.
Yes, she had to take a drug test because she'd had the abortion a few days before, but the Olympic Association requires all of their athletes to go through a drug test. She wanted to avoid the drug test because she still had the sedatives that they had given her for the abortion in her system.
Mm-hmm.
She then changed the date on one of the forms because she said the doctor's office had put the wrong date on the form. And so she's been suspended for 5 years. Now, the abortion industry tells her that her choice was going to empower her to fulfill her dreams. But in her case, her choice stopped her from fulfilling her dream because she couldn't go through the drug test because she'd had an abortion because she had been sedated. So her choice basically denied her her dream. And for the next 5 years, because she can't just go back now that she's healed from the abortion physically and no longer taking the sedative, she can't just go back. She has to sit on the sideline for 5 years.
And see, now there's nothing necessarily in the news about Brianna nor Simone having had an abortion or anything like this, but the high anxiety being put on them already as women about performing and what you can do and what you cannot do. And the other two women have kind of withdrawn from their athletic careers due to stress and decisions. So we can only imagine what the decision of an abortion adds to that. And in that case, and so it's just so amazing that people will say, well, if you want a career, you manage your reproductivity. If you get pregnant, get an abortion, you can always have children and all of that kind of thing. And it's not necessarily the case, as we can see. And it's very stressful. I want to take a little quick break and do our classic, our now classic Silent No More video. And over at Silent No More Awareness, and that's over at peacefullife.org. I'm a national spokesperson for Silent No More. And just abortion is just not really as good of a choice as people want us to think that it is. So let's take a look at Silent No More.
In my fear, I believed a lie all those years. I was trying to hide away, ashamed of the light of day. Made a choice, thinking I'd be free, but that choice, it imprisoned me in my shame. Till I stepped into the light of God's love, the healing began. I'm free from the shame, I'm healed of the pain. I will be silent no more. I'm free from the lies, love opened my eyes. I will be silent no more. Love broke through to the heart of me. Now the truth has come and set me free from the past. When I stepped into the light of God's love, forgiven at last. I'm free from the shame, I'm healed of the pain.
Well, Catherine, you know, and I know from my own post-abortive experiences, you've experienced abortion. I've had two and a miscarriage because of damage done to my own body. And so, silent no more, men and women do regret abortions. Do you write about your own abortion experience in your books?
I mentioned that I did have two abortions myself. In my first book, The Fight for Life, Taking It to the Street, that one was a little bit more autobiographical, and I do talk about the impact that my abortion decisions had on my life. And it wasn't a benign procedure, it was something that was life altering, and that uh, we need to begin to talk about. We need to begin to sound the alarm to let women know that it is not a benign procedure. It's actually a very violent procedure for both the woman and the baby, because after my first abortion, I fainted. And my second abortion, I actually heard the doctor counting my baby's body parts. And the trauma of that could have destroyed me, but God, I had
But
a
God, the hate
really
mind
good
is symbol.
pastor, yeah, that
Mhm.
prayed me through it. So
So I want to put both books up on the screen right now. So tell us again the name of both of the books and where we can get those books.
The Fight for Life, Taking It to the Streets is my first book, and my second book is The Fight for Life, Turning the Wounded into Warriors, and both are available on Amazon. The second book really focuses on us beginning to help women heal from their abortion decision and turning them into the warriors God intended them to be.
Catherine Davis, the warrior, the street fighter, Alveda, the praying warrior, and the singing warrior. But we do everything we can for life. Folks, you can also, as you know, get my books over at prolifeproduct.org, and that's over at Peace for Life. We're Not Colorblind and King Rules, and you can get signed copies there. So it's very important that you go to prolifeproducts.org. How can people find you on social media, Catherine?
My website is the restorationproject.life. And they
Okay.
have to put the in there, the restorationproject.life.
Okay, and I'm on Facebook, Civil Rights for the Unborn Official, on Twitter, Alveda King. It's on Twitter is Alveda King, and on Instagram, Civil Rights for the Unborn. So that's Civil Rights for the Unborn Official, Facebook, Twitter at Alveda King, Instagram at Civil Rights for the Unborn. So it's very important that you stay in touch with us and follow us. Now, I want to mention also, Catherine, and it's very important that folks realize this as well. We are talking about racism, and there's a big thing out on critical race theory. I'm going to show in just a second a little intro on that. And what we've been saying is that there is a critical race. It's called the human race, one blood, one race. God, of course, says choose life. He made people of one blood. That's Acts 17:26. And we know that science supports that. So there are choices in life, but we want to urge you to choose life. I think this is a good place to break over to that critical race theory. And the only reason I'm showing that in this segment, we know Margaret Sanger was a racist. Planned Parenthood has admitted that. Planned Parenthood will go the extra mile to abort Black babies for population control and genocide, because they're going on the premise that there are separate races and one of those races is superior and it's theirs. There's one human race, one critical race, and that is the human race. Let's take a look at the CRT video. Hello, I'm Evangelist Alveda King with a special edition of Pro-Life Praise, where we are debunking the theories in search of the real critical human race. Stay tuned. Hi, welcome back to Pro-Life Praise with a special edition today. And I want you to follow us on social media because you may still have some questions or comments after you view the program. I get emails, social media posts, calls, just so many responses to all that's going on today about the critical race theory, systemic racism. What are we going to do to bring the races together? So I thought it would be okay if I did a little PowerPoint presentation for you. Now, you can find me on Facebook at Civil Rights for the Unborn Official, on Twitter, just my name at Alveda King, and on Instagram at Civil Rights for the Unborn. So like I say, if you still have some questions, just continue to follow me. Now, I'm going to go through the PowerPoint presentation and then share my music video, We're Not Colorblind. And I am hoping that this inspires more conversation, more communication, and some of the answers that we are all seeking. So, in debunking the theories in search of the real critical human race, that's what we are trying to do today. In debunking the theories, as we're in search of the real critical race, we must understand that there is no white race, black race, red race, brown race, or yellow race. There is one critical human race. There really is only one critical race, the human race. Now, yes, we have different skin colors, but that does not denote race. That denotes ethnicity, and that's from the womb to the tomb. And that's why we say, choose life. The term race was created years ago specifically to oppress groups of people. That term and concept is a social construct. I've decided that I'm not using the term race to describe ethnicity anymore. I refuse to give that concept any power. There is only one race, the human race. Race and ethnicity are not synonyms. Race is usually associated with biology and linked with physical characteristics such as skin color or hair texture. Ethnicity is linked with cultural expression and identification. However, both are social constructs used to categorize and characterize seemingly distinct populations. Now, that came out in February 2019, February 22nd, 2019, and that's at the National Geographic. So you can kind of look that up and follow that up. Race and Ethnicity Facts and Information, National Geographic. Today, the question of race is no longer merely a political and social issue. As science has rapidly advanced, the issue of race versus ethnicity has become entangled and intertwined, impacting both the born and the humans in the womb. There again, I tell you, choose life. That's Deuteronomy 30 and 19. Choose life. Well, one race, the human race. Planned Parenthood has finally admitted after all these years that their founder, Margaret Sanger, was racist during her lifetime. Now they need to admit that that agenda is still here and they are still taking a racist approach to the human race and trying to kill more Black babies. Catherine, have you published anything on that that I can look up or at least share your thoughts?
I haven't published anything yet, but I can say that for the first time, I breathed a sigh of relief because I thought that the Black community would finally realize here was a real bastion of systemic racism because they told us in their own words that they were racist. But now I'm sad because there hasn't been a real outcry from the Black community. And Planned Parenthood is continuing to destroy Black life. In April of this year, the president of Planned Parenthood, Alexis McGill Johnson, published an opinion piece in the New York Times where she said, basically, yes, Margaret Sanger was a racist, get over it. But their answer to their ongoing racism is not to stop targeting the Black community, but now they're going to focus on transgender reproductive health. How insulting is that? That you have targeted Black women and their babies for years and years and years, and you think saying to the Black community, well, now we're going to be inclusive because we're including transgender, as if that's the same thing as targeting Black babies, where 100% of the time that their abortions are successful, a Black life is lost. We have to continue sounding the alarm. And that's the thing that's making me sad, that more of us don't realize that Planned Parenthood has acknowledged who they are, and they're continuing to buy their services.
Now, I'm going to say this, and I didn't expect to say it, so I hope it comes out right. But we've got to reach and continue to mentor. I know for a fact, Catherine, you mentor young men and young women, many, many, many of them, and so do I. And we have to keep saying that. Now, I'm about to say, I'm not going to say how old we are, but we are actually much older than we look. And that's by the grace of God, because I know we have certain kind of energy and enthusiasm that ladies who are as mature as we are don't have. But we are very interested, folks, in young people. Catherine takes young folks under her wing. She tells me about different ones that she's talking to and working to. I also am doing that, and I'm going to be doing more and more. I don't think that the children are our future. I think they are our present. We're all running out on that field together. When we pass that torch, both of us run together for a while. Nobody sits down. And then when we step back, we continue to cheer and to give remarks on how they can be strong and keep doing it. So I think I'd like for you to have the last word, and it's real short, on how important it is to work with the young people today to help them make the choice for life.
It's absolutely essential to what we're doing, because if we don't change the culture, if we don't stop the bleeding, if you will, that's happening, there won't be any melanin rich people like you and I left, because they are so successful in aborting the Black community. They're so successful that we're no longer having enough children to reproduce ourselves. And so it is critical that we get our young men and women involved, and that we reestablish the ancient boundaries that says you don't take the life of your children, and men, you marry your woman, and women, you honor your men and become one family. We have to stop it
Absolutely.
and start that today.
Well, Catherine, I look forward to having you join me again on Pro-Life Praise. Folks, if you have questions, look up Catherine at therestorationproject.org. And I'll see you next time. Oh, Lord. Say it again,
Life.
Catherine. Say it again.
Therestorationproject.life.
.life. And I'll
Correct.
see you again on Pro-Life Praise. Until next time, God bless everybody. Bye-bye.